the top 10 players with the most to prove among the 2026 NFL draft prospects. At number 10, Nick Harbor. Hadley, I want to start with you. Why does Nick Harbor have so much to prove this year?
First off, he's being touted because of the size, speed. We talk about this conversation every year. Guys that has the prototypical size, the speed. Let me pull up the numbers here. He's like a 4.3, 4.4 guy, they say.
At 240.
At 240.
At 240.
a creative player, right? Yeah, they say 40 times 4.2. I don't know about this.
He's a track star now. He's a track
6'5", star. 240, running a 4.2. So,
Calvin Johnson, bro. That's Calvin Johnson territory, ain't it?
Yeah, hey, exactly. So that's why he has a lot to prove coming here, because he does have the size, he does have the speed, but then you throw on the tape and he don't look right out there, man. He's not a natural wide receiver at this point, in my opinion. He looks more like his movements is more like a tight end. I think route running is a big thing for him. Also, he's not super fluid coming out of his breaks. A little uncomfortable on the football field. And then not natural hands either. He doesn't really have natural hands as well. Kind of fights the ball, is more of a body catcher. But I'm going to say it again. 6'5", 240, running the 4.2, man. So, he's going to be a guy that's touted, relied upon more in South Carolina. And everyone's going to be looking at him as a draft riser. But he has to prove it. He has to prove it to me on the football field before I put him up there.
So I said Megatron. That was before Headley just poo-pooed all over it. You know what I'm saying? Did it number 2. I had to pull up a page of the Decepticons, right? And the first one that actually came to my mind was Starscream. But I'm like, 6'5", 244, 2? I can't give him no Starscream. But Starscream was getting work in the Transformer movies, right? The reason I'm going to say that he has to come through is because of their quarterback.
Lenoris.
Yeah, Lenoris Sellers. The man with the goggles, with the glasses. He's got to come through for him, bro. And boys wasn't protecting. And boys wasn't catching the football, bro. So, and I need Nick Harbor to be that guy, bro. I need him to be Megatron number 2, bro. I need him to be Barricade. I need him to be that guy, bro, because South Carolina going to need it. And based on what Headley's telling me, I don't like it, bro.
Hey, that's what putting in work is all about. He might be working this whole off season and look like a completely different football player once the season starts. Hopefully for him, and he'll definitely be a first-round pick. But as far as what I saw from the tape last season, he's a little raw, has a lot more work to do. I'm actually more of a fan of the other receiver, Jared Brown, the wide receiver. He's a smaller wide receiver, but route running, getting open, being a natural wide receiver. He might be that go-to guy for Lenoir Sellers.
He said Soundwave, bro. I like that one, Mr. C. That's a good one.
Number 9 among the players potentially in the 2026 NFL draft class that have the most to prove this upcoming season is Arch Manning. Now, he's going to get the keys. He's been steeped in Steve Sarkisian's offense. I'm actually of the mindset that Arch doesn't necessarily declare after this year. Short of a championship, I imagine Arch is going to just kind of enjoy himself, make his NIL bread. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy college football. He comes from a wealthy family. Like, I just don't see him necessarily making that leap unless he accomplishes Heisman, national champ. You know what I'm saying? Like he dots all the I's and crosses all the T's. So I do want to put that caveat out there. But as far as relative expectation and hype compared to what we have seen thus far, he does have something to prove. He's lower on the list, but he does have something to prove here. What are your thoughts about Arch, Drew? What are your expectations for Arch this year?
First of all, it's playoffs or bust. You know what? No, you got to win it, bro.
You got to win it, right?
You got to win it, bro. No, we gonna go all the way. You got to win it. There's almost really not a lot of tape on him. You know what I'm saying? He's coming in kind of sparse situations. I think if I'm not mistaken, he may have played one game this year, or started one game this year, and I think it was wasn't a great
injury.
School.
It was an injury, right?
Yeah,
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, to Quinn Ewers. Yeah. So, and it wasn't a great school that they were playing. Like he lit it up. You know what I'm saying? He gives you the best of both worlds in terms of being able to drop back and give you that traditional style play, and then he can also do the new school way of playing the quarterback position, which is being able to scramble and keep plays alive. And he's like Drew said, he's athletic and he has all the tools that you want from the position. We just got to see it take place on a consistent basis. And you have the stamp of you are the starter, you are the guy. You know what I'm saying? And that can weigh a little bit differently on you. I don't expect that to affect him because of he's a Manning, right? And like you said, just there's a possibility he might stay, but it also may come down to what team is picking me. You know what I'm saying? Like I might end up with a team
The
I don't want
Mannings
to
are
be
known
with.
for that.
So
The
I'm gonna
Mannings are
stay,
known
bro.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good point.
we'll just
Good
run it
point.
again, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that may be
Good point.
the sticking point that ultimately pushes him to stay in college football. But otherwise, yeah, man, I'm expecting big things because he has all the talent, as far as I'm concerned, to play the position, and he's in a quarterback-friendly offense, as we know.
Very much so. Try not to pile on. There was a lot of meat left on the bone.
Yep.
Based on the quarterback play last year when yours was in the lineup.
Expectations is super high. Drew is absolutely correct. This is championship or bust for Texas. And because the roster that they have. We talk about the receiver, Ryan Wingo. That's going to be his top guy. But this is on the defensive side of the football where Texas is absolutely loaded. Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill. I think those are probably, other than Jahdae Barron, probably their two best players from last season coming back again here. You got Ethan Burke rushing off the edge. I like the nickel corner. And also the safety, Michael Taft, man. He's always around the football as well. And I think the biggest thing will be the cornerback position with Malik Muhammad kind of being the alpha, replacing Jahdae Barron. I think he would need to step up. He might be the X factor once the playoff starts and for Texas this season. But Arch Manning, man, you got the physical abilities, you got the legs, you got the arm talent. For him, it's just working through his progressions, being on time, and getting the ball to the open receiver, man. If he does that, Texas, to me, has the best roster in college football, and they're the early favorites for the championship.
To that end, a lot of pressure on the first-year starter who very well could parlay this into a very early first-round selection. So we'll see how it all plays out. Let's turn our attention to the 8th-ranked player on this list of players with the most to prove in the 2026 NFL draft class. And this one may come as a little bit of a surprise, but I think it was an interesting name. As I was discussing it with you both, Drew mentioned a Gator. He mentioned a Gator. His career didn't start in Gainesville, but he is now in Gainesville. And quiet as it's kept, once he got acclimated, once he got steeped and started to learn the system and was understanding what he needed, his athletic gift started to take over. So Cormani McClain a couple seasons ago was, one of, if not the top prospect in high school football, right? He committed to Miami, and then Prime came a-calling. Okay? All right? The glitz and the glamour. And then, of course, the opportunity to be coached by Deion Sanders, a cornerback being coached by Deion. I get it. It just, it's a unique opportunity, right? So he goes to Colorado, but it didn't work out, right? I don't have all of the details. There was questions in terms of work ethic. Young man, far from home. He comes back. He's kind of from the Central Florida area. That's where he played his high school football. He's closer to home now, seemingly getting to work. So I want to start with you, Drew. Why did you think he has a lot to prove? Is it relative to the lofty expectations coming out of high school, and now here you are expected to be a starter?
No, it's all of that, bro. And then you talk about the Gators who are kind of on the uptick. You know what I'm saying, in terms of what they have to do, and he's going to be a part of that because the defense starting off this at the beginning of the year last year was terrible, bro. Unfortunately, they ran into Miami. You know what I'm saying, at the wrong time.
Cam.
Nah, bro, come on, bro. No,
Cam,
bro.
I tried to tell you, bro. You didn't believe me.
You know what I was
You didn't
thinking
believe
about?
me.
Nah,
You didn't
I
believe me,
didn't
bro.
believe you. No, I can't
You didn't
believe
believe
bro.
me.
What you mean?
Bro,
No,
nah. Check the tape.
No. I
Check the
didn't
tape.
believe in Miami. I didn't
tape.
believe in Miami. Now Cam was a different animal, right? So let's be clear, right? He was thin. You know what I'm saying? He came in, he gained some weight for the Gators. And seemingly he was lighting it up in the spring, bro. So I think that the Gators got the guy that Miami and Colorado thought they were getting. Now you got to put it out on the field on Saturdays.
Cormani McClain comes in 8th overall in our top 10 draft prospects with the most to prove ahead of the 2026 NFL draft. At number 7, Keon Sabb, safety from Alabama, right? Formerly of the Michigan Wolverines. He dealt with an injury last year. What are your thoughts here?
A talented player. Once he's coming downhill, he's good. He can come downhill. He can have instincts, anticipate passes, helps in the run game. But it's going backwards. That's the biggest question mark for me right now with Keon Sabb. And that's why I said, let's put him on this list, man, because we have to prove that, you can hold up in coverage, have the range on the back end, because you're a safety. You're the last line of defense. So you got to be able to protect. That's why he ends up on this list. Hopefully he has a better season in the passing game than he did last year. Once he gets his hands on the football and he's running down the field, man, those long legs, he's hard to catch, man. He's an athlete. He could come and do things in the run game, blitz the quarterback. He could do all those kind of things. But, like you said earlier, it's a passing league, man. You got to hold up as a pass defender. So we'll see on Keon's side.
I think also, too, it's the defense itself. Like, obviously, Nick Saban's not there, so things are going to change. It's not going to look the same, obviously, right? You have players who left because, Nick was up out of there. Hopefully he comes back healthy and he hits the ground running, and he improves this defense, and he puts a stamp on it, bro. Like, when we talk about Bama secondary in terms of that safety, star position. There's guys, bro. There are guys.
Yeah.
There's a list of guys year after year after year, and you could be the next one, bro. Like some guys might get a little bit more push and love because they play that particular role because of the previous guy, right? And so you get a little bit more cachet, if you will, right? Over another guy from a different school that's not necessarily known to produce those players.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because there's a certain expectation that comes with that role because of the lineage of the players that have come before you that played that role. You think about Minka, you think about Brian Branch. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta perform, bro. You gotta perform, and those are do it all safeties, right? And as Headley mentioned, there's certain areas of the game that Sabb clearly he excels at. And others that he's going to have to improve if he wants to kind of hold up that legacy and be thought of in that same kind of vein as some of his predecessors at that star position. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But Keon Sabb comes in number 7 on our list here of the prospects, top 10 prospects with the most approved. At number 6.
Here comes the hate.
At number 6 is hate.
Hate, bro. Yeah, it's hate, bro.
It's hate.
Yep.
Oh man, it is Drew's guy though. It's Drew's guy. That's why he feels like it's hate. That's why he feels like it's hate.
So when you had put it in the chat, right? I seen it. I was like, you know what? I ain't even gonna argue here, bro. I'm gonna argue. I'm gonna get on the side, bro. I'm gonna argue, bro. Because this ain't legitimate, bro. Now it's a little bit legitimate. I probably would have dropped him to probably 10 if we wanted to do that. Maybe 11, just outside of it. Because I don't think this is all his fault, bro.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I know
it isn't.
It isn't. We talk about accountability and being at fault and taking responsibility, right? And there's plays that he's left on the field, things he could have done better. But to me, it's them damn receivers, bro. And what's scary is, which I need to pull up the roster. Like, what was your boy the tight end last year that got drafted?
Tyler Warren.
I mean, he ain't there, bro. So what are we doing?
They brought in my guy from USC, Kyron Hudson. I think he might be the best receiver on the roster. I think that'd be the guy that he need to connect with. They got two transfers. Devontae Ross from Troy. Not familiar with him all the way, but I know
he's
Hudson.
good. But we talked about him.
Okay.
We talked about him as being one of those standout performers, like on a weekly basis when we were in season. He's one of those guys. Yes. He's one of those guys.
All he got is receivers now, Drew. Okay. He got his receivers now.
Listen, y'all answer the question, bro, because he can't. Y'all ever seen the clip? I know y'all probably seen it with The Simpsons, bro, where Bart was playing quarterback and he was telling Buddy I think it was Bart or maybe it was Nelson. I don't remember, but he threw the ball and ran up and like Drew can't do that, bro. He can't play all the positions, bro. So obviously we know that they got the running backs there. The offensive line is usually pretty solid. A guy or two that's pretty solid on an offensive line that we're talking about probably later in this draft cycle about those guys going into the league. But the receivers have always been an issue. The offense itself has always been an issue. We need guys to be able to separate. We need guys to catch the damn football. Like if they separate, they can't catch the football, right? Like, no, we need the whole package, bro, because you have the quarterback to do it, bro. You got the running backs to do it. You got the offensive line to do it. Let's do it, bro. Let's get it done, right? So when those things do happen, I need Drew Aller to come through on a more consistent basis, bro. But it's hard when majority of the time you're throwing the guys that are covered, bro. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like that's tough, bro. That's a lot to ask of a quarterback all the time,
Could be one.
bro.
Okay, I'd throw it out there.
What?
Catch it early. Catch it early.
So I was thinking about this. I'd probably put him at quarterback one right now.
Ooh, there you go. Clip
I'm
it.
okay with it. Clip it, bro.
Mrs. C said Beck with no Bowers equals bad. Aller with no Warren equals bad, bro.
Oh man, we just got to coin that, bro.
Here's the final point I'll make on Drew Aller. He's a tough eval because of all the reasons that you mentioned, right?
Yep.
There's some inconsistency and obviously question marks with the supporting cast. As a result, it makes him a tough eval. And I've seen the flashes. You see the flashes. That's part of it, right? That's part of this calculus here. But without that consistent performance, whether it be because he's not being accurate or the receivers aren't creating separation, because there was a ton of that as well, it becomes that much more difficult. And as a result, he still has something to prove. It's not all because of him necessarily, but he's still got a lot to prove. I want to put something in perspective for you. Cam's top two receivers, now I'll set aside Arroyo, Jacoby George, Restrepo, both undrafted. Cam, first overall pick. All right. It was Tyler Warren a bust. I understand that. I understand that the other guys didn't do enough. But to be that guy, you got to raise. Bro. You got to raise players. That's all I'm saying.
I like that.
That's all I'm saying.
Got to raise.
Listen.
You got to raise the players.
I watched more Penn State football than I would like to have this year, bro. And watching that, bro, it's extremely frustrating, bro. It's extremely frustrating, bro. Like I'm thinking, okay, you got to get. And I'm watching, I'm like, there's nowhere to throw the football. Lose confidence in your people because you're like, okay, they're not creating separation. Or let me throw it up and see if he'll make a play. Absolutely not, bro.
Fair enough. Let's move into the top 5 here. And, this is where it really gets interesting for me. I know Drew was like, hey, man, this is hate right here. But I think it's really interesting because there was a little foreshadowing earlier as we were looking at our previous mock draft and comparing it to the actual results of the 2025 NFL draft, the first round specifically. But I mentioned that LSU collectively has a lot to prove, and they have a lot of players that have quite a bit to prove. So the 3 of the next 4 players all are from LSU here. And we're going to start with Harold Perkins. Okay, now there's phenomenal film on Harold Perkins. You go back far enough, and there is elite film, right, from a freshman, true freshman at that. He dealt with the injury. He dealt with being played out of position. Through no fault of his own, his star has diminished. The term that I tend to use, held in very high regard, and then you see his stock start to slide a bit, right? He's got an opportunity to rehabilitate that. For my purposes, the reason why I have him here in the middle of this top 10 at 5 is because relative expectations, because we've seen it. We've seen what it looks like. Coming from high school, entering major college football in the SEC and being a dominant force. We've seen it. We've also seen it not look so great because we're not sure what LSU is trying to do. I don't know if they're just trying to get their best 11 on the field. They're not seemingly deploying him the right way. And then, of course, there's that projection aspect of things on top of the injury. So now you're talking about a player who's more of a tweener. Some teams shy away from that. Some teams, basically, they're going to look at Harold Perkins. They're going to say, he doesn't have the measurables that I want. They view him as an edge rusher, but he doesn't have the brain for it, right? Or there'll be other teams that they don't value the off-ball linebacker. They tend to go the veteran free agent route or the later rounds in order to address the second level of their defense. So I find Harold Perkins to be in a very unique situation here. And then, like I said, to top everything off, he's coming off of an injury. So that's my spiel as to why I think he has a lot to prove here in this upcoming season. What are your thoughts here?
To me, I think one of the most important players for his future is going to be Jalen Walker that the Falcons just drafted, right? If Jalen Walker can have success in this league, these are twitchy football players, kind of the hybrid type of guys. What is he? Is he an off ball? Is he an edge? Like, he's one of those special, versatile chess pieces, man. So if Jalen Walker can have success in the league and Perkins comes back healthy, adds more strength. I think strength is the biggest thing for him. Not just in the run game. Obviously, in the run game, he needs to get stronger. But also in the pass game to add more of a bull rush to his repertoire as well, speed to power to his repertoire, because he's twitchy, he can get around the corner, change of direction ability. He has all that in his bag, but he has a lot to prove because the strength, putting on more weight, and also just coming off of that injury as well. So yeah, Perkins is a guy that I circle. I'm going to be watching him and his brother this year, and I'm hopefully, man, I'm hoping for the best for him, man, because what he does, you can't teach it. The special ability he has to close to the ball carrier or to the quarterback, no one can do it like him. So he just got to add a few more tools to his toolbox, and I think the sky's the limit for Harold Perkins.
The concern for me here is and you had talked about it two different times, Juice, in terms of LSU and we talked about this before in the past seasons with the coaching. Brian Kelly, like, ain't we known for this? Ain't we known for pulling in the talent, but not necessarily like we get all the ingredients right to make a 10-course meal, and we walk out the door with Cheerios and not cooked ramen noodle, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's you like, bro, we just bought $600 worth of groceries, bro. Where's the food at, bro? Like, what's going on, bro? It's not here, bro.
That sounds like my house, bro. We gone in like 4 days, bro.
And my concern for him is it's everything Henley was saying in terms of who he is as a player, all the things that he needs to work on. But my biggest concern is, one is how they see him, how they're going to deploy him. Because when I watch his brother, bro, Ole Miss, we know what he is. And by the way, he's about 10 pounds lighter, but we know what he is, and we use him in that manner consistently. Again, when we talk about these tweeners, it gets a little scary. And for me, I think tweeners need to start thinking about either I'm going to gain as much weight as I can and kind of shed that tweener tag, moniker, or go to a school that understands what you are and is going to use you that way.
One final question here. Where are you playing Harold Perkins? Playing him at edge, you're playing that linebacker. Do you think you do him a disservice if you try him, in doing this hybrid thing? Like, how do you leverage Harold Perkins? And thinking about it through the prism of not necessarily what's best for LSU, but what's best for Perkins at the next level.
He's in attacking mode at all times.
Yeah,
at all times. Like, if you want to get cute or play here, play there, pick your spots, drop him back into coverage. You know what I'm saying? Because he can do a little bit of that, but no. I want him executing. I want you to go from point A to point B immediately, bro.
I hear you. It sounds like best case scenario in you guys' mind is that Harold Perkins can put on some more weight. He doesn't have to be massive. But he needs to put on more weight, get into that Jalen Walker, Hassan Reddick kind of territory, and be an edge rusher, right? He can moonlight at off ball a little bit here and there, but we want him attacking, getting upfield, getting after the passer. Fourth on our top 10 draft prospects with the most to prove ahead of the 2026 NFL draft is Cade Klubnik, quarterback from Clemson. So here's a prospect that I think is coming off a very impressive season statistically. Like, he took a substantial step. When I initially saw him, young quarterback, again, highly touted, young quarterback, it didn't look particularly good. And you get concerned when you start talking about Clemson, because I don't know that Dabo has done a great job in terms of position coaches, offensive coordinators, in terms of guys helping with the development of their quarterbacks. These guys come in, they're very good, they're very talented. Your route combinations, do they make sense? Are you using the middle of the field? Are you attacking all the blades of grass as opposed to just outside the numbers and all these different things? And that was kind of my concern with Klubnik, is that, okay, we're going to see more of that. Well, I think Clemson has made a little bit of an adjustment, but certainly Klubnik has. And he's really stepped his game up. So now, from my perspective, is, can you do it again? Klubnik is one of those players, as I mentioned, that's coming off a strong season. So he's got some wind at his back, right? That's kind of propelling him. Can he capitalize on it? What do you guys think?
How they started the season, which was, it's unfortunately they ran into Georgia. That's just unfortunate. First game of the season, you either going to get done or you're going to do somebody, bro. That's usually how that works. Unfortunately for them, they got done. And you saw the worst of Klubnik, and you saw the worst of the Clemson offense, right? And as the season started to progress, He, like you said, he started to. I think it just maybe it just clicked, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think Clemson. They did make some changes in terms of starting to use the middle of the field. But I think Klubnik's talent in terms of his ability to get back there, kind of survey the defense, and get the ball out timely. I think he had one other bad game. They ended up winning anyways when they played Pittsburgh. Outside of that, bro, he's got the entire package, bro. You just hope that when the season starts next year, that he just hits the ground running. I will say this: the one thing I think I do want to see him kind of overcome is when he's playing a team that can rush the passer with the front four, or can add a blitz and kind of confuse the offensive lineman. I need him to be able to, let's say, they go from a 2nd and 3 to a 3rd and 13, that he don't fold his tent for 2 and 3 series in a row, right? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to just, okay, let's next series, play. We got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Right. And so it kind of, it's almost like when those things happen, we got to hit the reset button. Now, I don't want to hit the reset button, bro. I want you to just pick it up and let's just keep going, bro. It's okay. We're not going to get it all back in one play. It's fine. But, I think that's one thing he has to work on.
I'll just say this, man. Klubnik was a guy that surprised me last season. When I watched Summer Scouting before the season started, I wasn't a big fan of his. I thought Clemson was going to have another down season. And then the game started to play. And then after the first couple of weeks, they didn't really play anybody. I know the Appalachian State was a big game for him. Florida State wasn't really competition. But then as the season went along, it was like Clemson scoring 50 points, like every single game. I had to learn the hard way. I lost some money on that. I was like, nah, they can't do this again. and he kept on proving himself all the way to the playoffs. And, some of the things I had with him before the season was the mechanics. It needs work. He'll miss easy layups. It doesn't look like he saw the field well. And decision-making accuracy, it waned at times. And it was just one season starting. So after 2 seasons starting now, coming into his 3rd season starting, just getting more reps, getting more experience. Yeah, he's a guy that's rising. And he does have more to prove, though. But excellent season last year, only 6 interceptions, 36 touchdowns. So, yeah, man, Clemson's another team, kind of like Texas. There's a lot of talent there, man. Guys that stayed around, that's been there for a while. They're not really big in the transfer portal. They kind of develop guys. And yeah, man, all these guys are now juniors and seniors, so we'll see what Clemson does this year.
So at number 3 is a guy you're familiar with here, Hadley, former Seminole.
I don't even know why he's on this list, bro. Why is he on this list, bro?
What you mean?
No, bro. Come on.
What you mean? Life without Verse and Fisk was rough, bro. It was rough. But Peyton was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be the one guy on that defense who were like, because FSU lost a lot of talent. They lost a lot of talent to the NFL last draft, not the 2025 draft, but the 2024 draft, right? Patrick Peyton was one of those guys, blue chip recruit. He was a young upstart at edge. He played well opposite Verse, and Fisk doing his thing in the interior of the defensive line. He was supposed to be the one guy that you could count on to make a play for you, and it did not happen. Right? It did not materialize. I mean, I guess you got to have the conversation regarding FSU and the totality of it to kind of put the framework in place as it relates to, again, expectations. But we're just talking about the individual player here, right? He folded up his tent, bro. I didn't see the effort. I didn't see him making plays on the backside. I certainly didn't see, him taking games over or making it difficult on the opposing offensive tackle. It just wasn't good. Now, here we are, again, Ballyhoo prospect, and LSU seemingly thinks there's something here. Considering the type of season that Peyton had, it tells me that they believe in his talent. Now, whether or not it comes to fruition is the question, which is why I think he has a ton to prove here. But Hadley, you mentioned you don't know why he's on this list. Why is that?
Because at this point, man, I was just trying to forget about last season. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to forget about Patrick Payton, but y'all had to rub it in my face, put him at number 3 so I can remember what happened last year, man. But, no, man, all seriousness, though, man, I get it, man. He's a guy that came in. Some people had him as a first-round talent coming into last season. But like you said, without Fisk and Verse, when you were getting one-on-ones and no one was really carrying around you on the other side, he was cleaning up, being the guy with the attention on you, and you don't have other guys on the line to do it with. it's tougher for a guy like this. I don't think he's like a natural pass rusher at this point. It's more like he gets there with effort, with his motor. I did like his hands. I do like how physical his hands and how twitchy his hands are. But he just had to add more pass rushing moves to his game, and maybe LSU unlocks him, man. Him and Harold Perkins getting after the quarterback. We'll see. But he got to show me, man, before I start talking Patrick Payton again.
Yeah, some people were talking reckless. We're talking about national draft analysts. We're talking reckless about Patrick Payton entering last year. You could see that he wasn't in our mock draft. If you had tuned in a bit early, he wasn't in our way too early 2025 mock draft. And part of it was we wanted to see what type of player he would be when he doesn't have Jared Verse opposite him, when they didn't have a litany of NFL caliber players on the defensive side of the ball with him. And now that I've seen what it looks like when you don't necessarily have a dog opposite you, here you are going back to a situation that could rehabilitate your draft stock. But what type of player actually are you? It seems like you're more of a Robin than a Batman. That's the way I view it.
That's the way I view it. I want to shoot him some bail because FSU wasn't good, but we didn't know they wasn't good till a couple of weeks in the season. Well, where the hell were you when we thought y'all were good, bro? Would a real Patrick Payton please stand up and right now that guy right now is the guy that has to have other players on the team. Like, he can't carry the defense. He can't be that guy on the front seven. Like, I need to be a part of that. I'm a part of the rotation versus being the guy, right? That's what it looks like right now. Like you said, he might end up being that guy again. Maybe FSU, the atmosphere was awful, right? And we're unaware of that.
Perhaps.
And so that just messed up his psyche. And if that's the case, then day one, I need you to show me when it's time to play, whenever LSU plays their first game, bro.
Patrick Payton obviously has a lot to prove. He's the second entrant from the LSU Tigers in this list. And I got another one here. And I think by this point, most probably are already aware of who it actually is. Nussmeier. I want to go straight to Headley on this one. Because, again, there were NFL draft analysts. I'm going straight to Headley on this one. There were NFL draft analysts saying this is QB1. So what is it that Nussmeier needs to do to prove that he is actually QB1?
Be more consistent. To me, that was the biggest thing with him last season, man. It's like Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, and Mr. Jekyll kind of thing where he's just one.
You hit it.
I said it right.
You said it. No, you didn't say it right, but that's exactly what
No, it's good. It works. No, we're gonna let it ride.
let it ride, man, because it was just like one half is like, okay, this guy's a top quarterback in this class, and then the next half is like, and it alternated, man. Sometimes he'll do it in the first and fall off in the second. Fall off in the second, do it in the first. I think I said that twice again, but yeah, you know what, man. He has to kind of win from the pocket, so you got to be protected. I thought LSU line was a little bit inconsistent throughout last season, so maybe that has something to do with it. He got a good NFL arm, and like I said, sometimes he wows you. Then the decision making, the bad decisions comes in when he starts to throw it into coverage and kind of lose you the football game. You can't be this high and this low. You kind of be even keel, and then towards the end of the game, raise the level. Saying the players around you, but he just didn't do that consistently last year. So that's why, to me, he's a guy that has a lot to prove.
See, Presky not giving him that excuse. He said he got 3 NFL linemen in front
of him.
There you go, bro.
He did. It was just the tackles were a little inconsistent.
Little shaky at times.
Yeah, bro. This guy here, bro. Because like Headley said, in the first half, he's the best quarterback in the country, right? I remember late last year in the draft, I think it was right before the playoffs or a couple games before the season was over. People were talking about he's quarterback 1, and I'm like, yeah, in the first half.
I remember
of this game, he looked like a monster, bro. Like,
first half of this game,
bro. You know what I'm saying? And then the second half shows them like, who the hell is this guy? It's almost Jameis Winston's like. It's just not as awkward, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's bad, bro. And it's crazy, bro. And he'll do like these. I've seen him do some of the stupidest things. Hold on to the ball well beyond when he's supposed to get rid of it, bro. Just get rid of it, bro. Take a 15-yard sack, bro. Who are you, bro? What is happening, bro? You have plenty of time to look and see it's not there. Get rid of the football. Play the next down. instead of being on 2nd and 10, we're at 3rd and 25. Why, bro? Why? Like and the thing is, he's a coach's son, if I'm not mistaken. So it doesn't make sense, bro, as what's happening here, right? Just like Heavy said, at the worst, bro, you need to be in the middle, bro. At the worst, and then as the game goes on, as the game's getting tighter, raise the level because you can see the talent. You can see, oh, okay, and then we down here again, bro. And he's lost some games this year because of the shenanigans, bro. So he's rightfully so at number 2, bro. I mean, I could see him being at number 1 because of the tease factor, bro.
Yeah, Dr. Hot and Mr. Jackal, bro.
All right, so we've come to the very end here of our top 10 prospects with the most to prove. Going into the 2025 season, obviously looking ahead to the 2026 NFL draft as it relates to their draft stock. At number 1, we have another quarterback. And some of you may have already guessed, Carson Beck. At this time last year, even we had him as a top quarterback. Now, do I think we had the same level of conviction that some others may have had? No, not necessarily. But Beck was trending in the right direction as it related to him being a first-round selection last year, coming off of his 2023 performance. It did not work out that way. Georgia collectively, right, offensive line, receivers, and Beck, right, coaching for that matter, underperformed. There were instances where Carson Beck could not have put the ball in a better spot, and receivers just did not make the play. I think Georgia was among, if not led the country collectively in terms of drop passes. And then you have instances where Carson Beck, I don't know what Carson Beck's looking at, bro. I simply do not understand what the thought process is from the time he looked at the defense pre-snap, got the actual snap, and then started to actually work or not work through his progressions, because that's what it seemed like. At times, it just seemed like his eyes dropped directly to the rush, right? Or he had already decided where he was going with the football, regardless of the coverage, right? Whether or not the receiver had any leverage or separation, he was going to throw the football there. And as Mr. Ciprasky says, it was real day 3-ish. It was real day 3-ish. Now, you see the flashes. You'll see a Matthew Stafford type of throw, but then you see a bad sack. You see a bad decision. You see a turnover. You know what I'm saying? You see not understanding that, you know what, I don't necessarily need to make a play here. I just need to manage the game. There's clearly ability here, but snap-to-snap consistency, same types of conversations we're having with Nussmeier. Again, you can make that case, Beck 2, Nussmeier 1, and then here's what kind of put it over the top for me. He's dealing with the injury. Tommy John type of situation. He's coming off of an injury. The expectation is that he's going to be good for, fall camp, but you miss most of this offseason, right? As far as the physical aspects of them, because you're still trying to rehabilitate. So from my perspective, collectively, we decided ultimately Carson Beck is number 1. Why is he at the top of this list for you, Drew?
Bro, I'm gonna be real with you, bro. He went from Georgia to Miami, bro, for a chick, bro.
That's what's going on, man.
You didn't know? You didn't hear?
Nah, I ain't know about
you
that.
Didn't hear?
And they're not together no more, bro.
Hey, they said, hey,
cold world.
Listen, Headley, they say he's seen what they had down there on South Beach, bro.
He might not recover from this, bro.
Right?
How you know he gonna recover from this? His whole mental gone, bro.
No, but in all seriousness,
I
mean, you kind of broke it down, but one of my biggest concerns, and this I don't think ever got addressed. Now, this may get addressed because of the style of offense he's going to be playing in. My biggest concern for him was, one of the biggest concerns, is his ability to see over the middle of the field when rushes are coming up those A gaps, bro. Like, he is terrible at that, bro.
Yeah.
And it affects him in ways that it really shouldn't. I don't understand it. Like, you can clearly see the rush is coming in the middle of your offensive line. Obviously, the offensive line wasn't the greatest. You know, they were dealing with injuries, but he compounded the crime by either throwing it up in the middle of the field or taking the sack, bro. It was bad, bro. And he had some routes that he could have just got it over to that guy, and he just, for whatever reason, like you say, hey man, I'm gonna do a Drew and Madden, bro. I'm going to this guy right here. I don't care what the defense is. I don't care what the call was. I'm throwing it there. It doesn't matter, bro. So, you know, I think that might be alleviated or reduced because of the offense he will be playing in, because I think it's a little bit different than what they're doing over there at Georgia. Plus, he'll probably have a little bit more confidence in terms of the offensive line, one, and the players around him, too, because that can really compound. That can really get into a quarterback's head. So maybe the hero ball will come down because of that.
And you think about it, he lost Lab McConkey and Brock Bowers the year before, right? So now you're coming into this Georgia offense without those two guys, two talented football players. We're seeing what they're doing in the league right now. Now I have to carry this football team, and it didn't work out for him because of, like you said, decision making. He put the ball in danger a lot. Just the accuracy, even the simple passes that you just see him miss sometimes. The pass
ball
placement. Ball placement, definitely ball placement. So, you know, I think it just torpedoed his season last year. I do like the fresh start for him. He's coming off of an injury. We'll see, man. But that new news I just got, man, I don't know about the mental right now, man. I gotta
Hey, you what Mr. T. Brasky said, bro? He said he had an uncle that went from Alaska to the University of Hawaii and quit after his sophomore year, bro. Couldn't deal with it, bro. And listen,
dangerous out there, bro.
Listen,
dangerous.
Listen, Peach State got them things too now. It's just a different ball of wax on South Beach, bro. It's just a different animal. You know what I mean? And what Drew's saying, I mean, obviously we're having some fun with it. It's true. There's a mental aspect of it. It's your head in the game, right? Are you focused on the right things? You know what I'm saying? It's a legitimate question. As you speak regarding the offense, I do think the offense itself will be more conducive to Beck's success. I think Shannon Dawson has proven that he will adjust and mold the offense around the strengths of the quarterback, what he's comfortable with. He makes it a point to create a system that is inviting for the quarterback. I also think Miami's going to have a really good offensive line as well. Mr. C. Press, you asked, you know, who did the Canes have at receiver? Didn't bring in C.J. Daniels from LSU, right? But it's the young guys. It's Elijah Lofton at tight end. It's freshman Malachi Tony, and it's JoJo Trader, bro. And I'm telling y'all right now, JoJo Trader's gonna be a monster, bro. I know he got a little overshadowed because Jeremiah Smith, they actually played in high school together, but JoJo's a monster, bro. Actually caught his first collegiate TD in the bowl game from Cam Ward, and Cam Ward has said it. They've asked Cam Ward to say who's up next. I think there'll be some bumps and bruises because it's a young group, but from a talent perspective, I think they have the guys. I think they certainly have the guys. So it's going to be on Beck. I think Miami's going to be able to run the football. It's going to be an improved defense. Beck is going to have to be better. You know, you guys mentioned all the areas that he needs to address, and perhaps the most important is between the ears. Carson Beck comes in at number 1 in terms of players with the most to prove among potential 2026 NFL draft prospects.